Hi, this is Vicky with Learning Home Volunteers, and welcome to our new learning session, totally dedicated to a series of books written by Laura Numerkoff. All these books feature the premise of a set of cascading sets of events that can happen if you give one of the animals they're talking about something to eat. The books are adorable, and we've paired each of the books with some activities sure to delight. But before we get started, let's talk a little bit about the books. Well, one of the skills that children are going in our age are actually learning is how to sequence events, like putting on your clothes. You start with your underwear, and then you add a shirt and pants, and then your shoes. And that is actually creating kind of a logical sequence of things. These books create logical sequences that are humorous but logical. So when we're actually watching the video with your child, it's really fun to think what will happen when they get syrup for the pancake. And you can do this by pausing the video and talking with your child between the pages. So, what do you think is going to happen if you give pig syrup? Well, probably the same thing that happens with your child. They're going to get sticky, right? And learning this sequencing is actually a higher brain function that children are actively working on during their preschool years. They'll get better at this skill as they practice it. So you could help and offer opportunities to do multi-part instructions. For example, you could ask, "Could you get your jacket and backpack and meet me at the door?" These opportunities will give them to practice the skills that they're going to need at school. The first book in our series is If You Give Mouse a Cookie. This book actually has been so popular, her fans asked for more, and more she has given them. There are now 17 books in the series, which is amazing. Our second book here is If You Give a Pig a Pancake. And then finally, our last one here, If You Give a Mouse a Muffin. All very fun, and we'll be doing activities that match up with each one of those. Our first activity of this learning week is to make a mouse. Well, the mouse is actually cut out of egg cartons and will be a finger puppet to act out the mouse's part in the book. We have provided ears and the egg carton and string if you need a tail. We've actually included white glue to affix the ears to the mouse, and you can draw on a face on the mouse with either a pen or a marker, and then their child can put the finger in the mouse's body and then act out all the things that it does in the book. This is activity number 2. And oh boy, it's a cutting activity. We know those are always fun. You're gonna hold the toilet paper roll from the bottom, or they can hold it in their non-dominant hand from the bottom of the toilet paper roll. They should try clipping a strand of hair, and if you separate the strands of hair, that makes it easier. Finally, a way for them to cut hair without, well, removing any hair from your family members or dolls or anything else that might be in the house that has hair. This is activity number 3, clip cards. And, clip cards are so much fun, and they're used a lot in early childhood education. Our set is made by printing the clip cards. And while I was working with my own child, I used to use cardboard and glue and writing and pictures from catalogs. These clip cards are really versatile and can be used to actually with different learning objectives. What we're seeing here in these examples is for learning beginning sounds. The clip card on the left is working on beginning letter sounds. The van begins with the letter V, v, and they find the letter that makes that sound. The clip card on the right is working on ending sounds. We see a bat, and begins with a B and ends with an AT, which they clip. In this next set of cards, we're going to see on the left-hand side an object that the child is asked, which of your senses would use this object? Ooh, a donut, taste. And on the right, a bear, probably touch. These cards are working on the right on visual discrimination, where the color uh, object is, we need to find the shadow object, which is presented on the bottom. As you can see, lots of different learning objectives that we could work on, but we decided to work on numeracy for ours to help your child work on their number skills. So this is activity number 3, and how I would suggest using the card is you should hold the card until your child kind of gets proficient at putting the clothespin on the card. Have your card count the objects. In this case, there are 2 cookies, and then you want to point to each of the print numbers and say the number, because they're probably still working on recognizing those. And then they put the clip or the clothespin on the print number that matches the number of cookies on the sheet. Well, our last activity for this week is pre-writing, and pre-writing worksheets like these are all focused on practicing the strokes that are used to make letters. Like the first ones that we see here with this down and then cross stroke are used obviously in the letter T and B with the cross stroke. The next strokes, which are rounded strokes, are what are needed in O's and P's and anything with a rounded edge. The last stroke, these diagonal lines, are used in letters like A and X. You can use a pencil if you want to be able to do it over and over again. Put a piece of tape on it, and then they'll be able to trace it. The second worksheet, if your child is really getting into writing, they could try tracing some lowercase letters. Like all of our activities, when the child is done, we're done with the activities. It's tempting to try and make them finish it, but remember there's plenty of opportunities for them to learn. The most important part of all activities is they find joy in the activity itself. So when they begin for their first time to make letters, I just want you to know it's going to be really hard to make the right shapes. If you don't believe me, try making this Chinese character. Not so easy, hard to figure out which way we start with. Do we start with those lines on the bottom and move up, or we go left or right? So complicated. I hope your child enjoys playing with the writing instruments. That's all for this week. I'll see you next week.